Today we are going to discuss manufacturing. So Oracle manufacturing, which is consisting of work in process and bills of material and sometimes quality inspection as well. So basically discrete manufacturing, which is completely dependent on inventory, because basically the items which are finished good items or raw materials or you can say sub-assemblies, components, raw materials. These are the items we'll be using as a part of manufacturing. If you take for example discrete manufacturing, mainly the difference between discrete manufacturing and process manufacturing, we have different types of manufacturing. The prominent manufacturing like discrete manufacturing or process manufacturing. What is the main difference between these two? We have products, different types of products, means items. If you take a car and let us take some items like cement bag and whatever it may be. Any item that comes under one particular type of manufacturing. If you take food processing items like chips or juice, and we have different items like car, engines, and we have buildings, different types of items we have. Even your mobile, laptops, desktops, whatever it may be. Every item comes under one particular manufacturing. If you take a desktop, which comes under discrete manufacturing, a car, which is a discrete manufacturing. If you take cement bag, that comes under process manufacturing. What is the main difference? You take any discrete item, discrete means individual, separate. When you go for a discrete manufactured product like desktop, laptop or car, you can dismantle easily the product and you can get your raw material or components or sub-assemblies back into inventory. You can dismantle and get back your raw materials. Whereas, let us take process manufacturing, in which I have given an example of cement bag. Once cement has been made, can you get your granules, limestone, chemicals, whatever it may be. Once the item has been manufactured and inventorized as an item like cement bag, you cannot get the raw materials back from the finished product. The product from where you are getting raw materials back, each one is a separate item, can be a component, can be a raw material, can be a sub-assembly, can be a semi-finished good, and finally finished good. Cement bag, food processing items, and whatever it may be, item has been manufactured, but once it has been inventorized, you cannot get back your raw materials, whatever the items you have used as a part of ingredients. As a part of ingredients, you are using all those raw materials, components. We call it as ingredients in process manufacturing. Whereas in discrete manufacturing, we call it as bills of materials. Bills of materials. So this is the main difference between process manufacturing and discrete manufacturing. To manufacture any item, you would require certain process. That process can be discrete manufacturing process or process manufacturing process. As a part of discrete manufacturing, we have different operations to be conducted in the process of manufacturing. Those operations in a particular sequence. Let us take a car can be manufactured by having a design. Based on the design, fabrication. All of you, are you able to see the screen? Okay. Now, so basically the manufacturing is going to have one particular process and you have to follow that process. Finally, you will get the finished product. Let us take a car in which we have the design. Based on the design, there is a fabrication, and after that welding, we have chassis having wheel alignments, then body mounting, then engine erection. We have painting, then test drive. Finally, you are going to inventorize the finished product. Means in the process of manufacturing a car, we have design, fabrication, welding, chassis, wheel alignments, body building, erection of this engine parts, engine or brake or clutch or steering, infrastructure within the car. We have deck system, stereo deck system, chairs, and all those things. Finally, we have the painting, then test drive. Whenever it is passed, some quality checks will be there, and whenever it is passed, then we are going to inventorize the product into the inventory. This is what we call it as, different operations to be conducted in the sequence in order to get the finished product. That finished product is a car here in this example. Similarly, desktop. If you go for desktop, what are the raw materials, what are the components, what are the sub-assemblies, what is the finished good? Finished good is nothing but desktop, which is consisting of monitor, CPU, UPS, keyboard, mouse. All these are sub-assemblies, I would say. Why? Because if you can dismantle these items, monitor you dismantle. There are many items. We have panel board, chips, semiconductors, panels, tube. We have different items. So all these things, like these are all sub-assemblies or raw materials, components. So in this process, we have different operations. We are going to conduct those operations. To conduct the operations, we would require resource. What is the resource? If somebody is designing, some engineer is designing, so that engineer is called resource. Somebody is welding, somebody is fabrication, doing fabrication, fabricator, then welder, and engineer, technician. All these guys, they are coming under one particular resource. What is the difference between resource and employee? Keep in mind, if you call a person with a name, is the employee, because he is coming from human resource. Of course, he is having a definition of human resource. An employee, always a person will be defined as an employee, will be having an account, HR account, whereas that employee will be having certain role. If you take a welder and Mr. Ram is working as a welder. So here the person name comes under HRMS, like is an employee of the organization, whereas that person works as welder. That welder welder comes and becomes as a resource. So keep in mind, what is the difference between employee and resource? A resource will be having some set of employees. Keep in mind, some set of employees means welder. Welder is the resource. As a welder, 10 people are working, means 10 persons will be there. Each person is coming from HRMS, like means is human resource, is a part of human resource, and he'll be having HR account. So the main difference between resource and employee. some group of employees will be formed as one particular resource. Keep in mind, and every resource should come from particular department. Every resource should come from particular department. Why? A welder comes from maintenance department. Electrician from electrical department. A tester from quality department. We have certain departments. A technician from engineering department. So every resource should come from one particular department, means that department will be having some set of resources. We would require certain resources at each operation, means we have certain operations in a sequence to manufacture a finished good. In the process of manufacturing a car, I would require fabricator, designer, welder, technician, painter, tester, driver, and finally we have the finished product and should be inventorized. There is a storekeeper, there is a production engineer, production supervisor. So we have different resources. Every resource does some work in the process of manufacturing. So if you take any finished good, that finished good will be having certain process, and each process should be finished by certain resource. And whatever the resource, that resource may consist of multiple persons, and each person is an employee of that particular organization. So keep in mind, we would require every person should be coming under one particular resource, and that resource will be coming under one particular department, and we have requirement of different persons in a sequence of certain operations. When you conduct all the operations, then you are going to get the finished good or semi-finished good. So in this process we have, I told you, every person should come as, should be a resource. So basically we have bills of materials here. I am here in the bills of materials. Bills of materials is talking about bills, routings. We have in the routings, routing is the main part of the bills of materials. If you are going for a manufacturing, an item to be manufactured, definitely I said there should be a resource, means some set of employees should be coming under one particular resource, means 2 or 3 people will be working as a welder, means welder is a resource, but 3 employees are coming as a welder, 3 employees working as a welder. So resource, those resources like a welder or electrician or a fabricator will be coming under one particular department. A maintenance department, electrical department, quality department, production department, we have different departments. So we should have all the resources first, and which resource comes under which department, we should have the department. Under the department, we should have some set of resources. Then I would require, not all the resources are required at the first operation. Why? In the process of manufacturing a car, the first operation is designing. I would require a designer. So designer is the resource who spends certain time to design this car. After designing the car, we have some set of operations, and each operation can be conducted by certain resources only. Welding by welder, fabrication by fabricator, painting by painter, test drive by inspection person, quality person. We have, means every resource comes under one particular department. We would require in a sequence Whatever the operation you want to conduct, we have certain operations. My operation is fabrication. Next operation is welding. Next operation is chassis making. After that, we have wheel alignment. Then engine erection, bodybuilding, painting, test drive, inventorize the finished good item. We have all these are operations. At each operation, I would not require all the resources at once. I want certain resources at certain operations. So what are the resources you would require at certain operations? That's what we are going to call. We are going to call at each operation what are the resources you would require and what is the sequence of resources you would require. And then what are the items you would require? Like, so we have the routing for certain finished good item. To manufacture a car, there should be a routing for car. That routing indicates what are the set of sequence of operations. At each operation, what are the resources coming from various departments. That is the combination of all these. Routing is nothing but combination of operations, departments and resources. Whereas it is the process of defining the bills of materials. BOM. What is BOM? You can define the BOM, bills of material at a time. Like if you open the bills of materials, you can go for Indian bills and you can say what is the finished good item, what are all the sub-assemblies you would require in the process of manufacturing a finished good. If your finished good is a desktop item, I would require sub-assemblies like monitor, CPU, UPS, keyboard, mouse. I would require all these items as a sub-assemblies. If you dismantle mouse, how many items are there? If you dismantle your CPU, how many items are there? There is an hard disk, there is a processor, there is a RAM, there are chips, there are panels, there are semiconductors, there are fans, we have DVD writer, we have case. If you dismantle CPU, how many items are coming? So these are all raw materials, can be sub-assembly. Hard disk is a sub-assembly. If you dismantle hard disk, then you will have many items. So keep in mind, every item that comes under one particular kind of, it's a finished good item, sub-assembly, or component, or raw material, spare part. So every item is having certain categories. So internet bills will show you to manufacture a finished good what are the items you would require, and you do not require all the items at once, because in the process of manufacturing a car, the first one is fabrication. I would require iron plates. Then we have to cut the iron plates into particular shape. Then welding, you would require welder. Then chassis making, should require channels, eye sections and all those things. Then wheel alignment, you would require wheels at that point of time. I do not require any wheel. I would require 4 wheels to manufacture a car, but I do not require any single tire at the time of fabrication. Why? I would require iron plates for fabrication. That means for every operation, there is certain requirement of items. Means there is some sequence of operations to be conducted and certain operations, and you would require certain items only, and all those set of items together consumed, and finally we are getting the finished product after completing all the operations one by one. If you take one particular item, let us take desktop item, let us see how it has been built. I will show you. First I said resource. What is resource? Let us see. Resource, this is the form where you define the resource. Let us see what are the resources available in the system. F11, control F11. Okay. Control F11. Okay, it's not coming with. Okay, so whenever you're not getting certain results, you should see whether this responsibility has been attached to that particular organization. Let us see now. I'm going to inventory. This is support issue. This is one particular real-time support issue. The issue is, see, I was trying to query one particular resource, but I'm not getting any result. Means what? This responsibility has been defined, but not assigned to any organization. That is the reason it is not fetching data from any organization. We have organizations. What is organization? It's nothing but a warehouse or a plant. Your manufacturing plant itself is a warehouse. It is nothing but a plant is nothing but a manufacturing unit. Right now, I have opened the resource form. I queried for any resource which is existing in the plant, but nothing is coming. What does it mean? Means this responsibility has been defined, but are not assigned to any organization. What is the missing setup? Here the missing setup is, go to setup, organizations. We have organization access. Organization access. Here every application and there should be a responsibility to be assigned to certain organizations. Here my organization is M1. You know that. My organization is M1. And the responsibility is bills of materials. Okay, application. So whereas the responsibility is bills of materials. See, application is bills of material. Responsibility name is bills of materials. Saved. Now I have given the access of M1 for bills of material application. Now let us see, switch responsibility to the bills of materials. Whereas now I am going for change organization. If you click on change organization, see, earlier I clicked on change organization, but I didn't get any option. But here now I got the options. Vision operation is operating unit, and we have manufacturing plant as M1, Sital manufacturing. Now I'm going to routing. I told you, see, it is entry question. If you want to define the bomb, how do you define the bomb? I define the bomb by defining the resource first. Then every resource to be assigned to one particular department. Means first you have to define all the resources. Then all the departments. In which department, which resource is working, we have to assign the resource to the department. Once we have this link, means all the resources which have been defined in the system should be coming from certain department, keep in mind. That means you define first resources, then you define departments, then which resource is coming from which department we are going to assign. And after having the assignment of resource to the departments, we are going for operations. Why? At each operation, I would require certain resources. If I am conducting welding, welder is required. If I am conducting fabrication, fabricator is required. If I am conducting painting, painter is required. Means there are certain operations, and those operations will be conducted by certain resources. Means that resource should be coming from certain department. So there should be a link between operations, departments, resource. And what is the sequence of operations to be conducted, and what is the sequence of resources you would require and to be supplied from the departments. That's entire link is called the entire, you can say the relation between, and there is a relation between resource, department, operations, and the sequence of operations to be conducted. That relation is indicated by the routing. So what is the sequence of definition of the BOM? Before defining the BOM, you should define the first. First one is resource, then department. Assign the resources to the respective department, then operations. And at that operation, what are the resources you would require, and what sequence of resources you would require, and to be supplied from certain departments. That's what you are linking in the routing. Finally, after defining the routing, we are going for bills of materials, where we are indicating what is the finished product, what is the raw material you would require, and who is going to conduct that operation, and who that operation to be conducted by certain resource, but that resource is coming from certain department. This is what, when you define a BOM, everything is linked from the resource to department, department to operations, operations into routing, sequence of operations into routing, and finally you are reaching to a finished good, and that finished good to be manufactured by different raw materials, spare parts, components, sub-assemblies. All these things you are indicating as a part of BOM. So let us see, for example, now I am going to resource. My organization is M1. Now F11. Okay, F11. Okay, control F11. Now I got. See, acid bath. What is acid bath? It is a resource. Press down arrow. Anodize. If you are a mechanical engineer, what is anodizing? What is acid bath? To improve the quality of the physical item, means there is an iron rod. Iron rod should be annealed. What is annealing? So these are all mechanical processes. You keep that metal in certain chemicals or in certain furnace for certain temperature for certain time, then the hardness of that metal will be increased or improved. That means in the process of improving the physical characteristic of the item, you should do some process. That process is nothing but anodizing or annealing. We have different operations. Zinc plating, nickel plating. What is the use of this? There is an iron rod. If you use iron rod directly, it will be attacked with a rust formation. Then what happens? Oxidization. Then what happens finally? That metal will have corrosion, and finally you cannot use that item. To reduce that corrosion, you should have the process of nickel coating, zinc plating, which will reduce the corrosion, which will increase the lifespan of the item. That means this resource is a kind of, see, we have different resources. One is person. We know everybody. A welder is a person. Electrician is a person. Whereas if you keep certain item in certain machine for certain time to get a particular physical characteristic, let us say there is a rod. The rod is the component. That item should be kept in furnace at certain temperature for half an hour. Then that rod becomes hardened. That means you are using certain machine. What is that machine? Furnace, in which you are keeping that metal for certain time. For keeping that item for certain time, you are using that machine, means that is a resource. That resource can be a resource, resource can be a machine, a person, or amount. You are spending amount to get this. You are spending amount to get this resource. So we have different types of resource. Mainly we'll be using machine and person. So here anodizing is a process by using machine. Acid bath means you are keeping that item in particular acid for certain time. That acid bath itself is a resource. It's a kind of machine. See, type of machine. Charge type, WIP move. It's a very important question. What is the user WIP move or PO move, PO receipt, manual? These are charge types. What is charge types? Charge types are four types. WIP move, PO receipt, manual. Each one is having its own importance. It's a very important question. What is charge type? We are going to discuss that. Then, sometimes what happens, you are not having this acid bath machine. Let us say, you are working in Tata Motor, you are manufacturing a car, but you are not having acid bath. Set an item to be used as a part of car manufacturing. To improve that item characteristic quality, you should keep that item in acid bath for 1 hour. But you are not having acid bath. Then what you will do? You will go for certain outside party where you might be having that machine. So you will give your rod to keep that item, that rod for certain hours in that particular acid bath. That supplier will charge you because you kept that item for 2 hours. For 1 hour, this is the charge. So for 2 hours, how much you have to pay? So basically he becomes as a supplier to you. Means you are getting the service from outside because you are not having that. If you are getting some services from outside in the process of manufacturing, that is called outside processing. Keep in mind. Here we can see that checkbox. Here outside processing means what? Whenever outside processing is there, that means you are getting the service from outside party, outside supplier. You are getting the service from outside party. I said service only. Does it mean that you are not having any item? Yes, you are not having any item from the outside party. Why? See, I am buying the car from Tata Motors. So if Tata Motor is using Oracle applications, Tata Motors salesman will book a sales order in favor of customer, and he books the order, he picks the item, he reserves the item, and is ready to shipping. Of course he has shipped from the logical system point of view. Then customer is asking, my item should be delivered with Teflon coating. I am giving a real-time example in the process of manufacturing. Tata Motor has manufactured the item is ready to deliver, but customer on request, he has requested the item with Teflon coating. But Tata Motor showroom is not having Teflon coating. So what happens, you will not deny the customer. Simply, yes, we will get it done, and it will be charged with additional charge. Okay, customer agrees for that. Then what happens, the Tata Motor car will be sent to another outside party, means a supplier of Tata Motor, where that supplier will do Teflon coating and sends back the item to the Tata Motor. Then customer comes to Tata Motor and Tata Motor ships the item to the customer. Here what happened? Item is Tata Motor car only. With the Teflon coating, have you got any additional item with Tata Motor car? No. There is no additional item. You have got service. What is that service? Teflon coating. For Teflon coating, Tata Motor might have paid some amount to the external party. How much? 1,000. They will charge you 2,000. Means here Tata Motor is getting a service from the outside party. To get the service, what is the item? Here the item itself is a service. There is no physical item at all. Teflon coating is an item. Teflon coating is an item. Where is that item? There is no item. Why? It is a service. We are going to a garage, whereas you are getting your car cleaned. Okay, after cleaning you are paying how much? Around $500 you are paying. Let us say you are paying $500. Where is your item? Show me. There is no item. Your item is same, the car. You have gone with a car and you are coming by a car and there is no additional item with, but you paid $500 for which kind of item? What kind of item? A service kind of item. It's not a physical item. If it is physical item, of course you will have the item, but there is no item but still you are paying. That is called outside party service. Outside processing item. So outside processing is a typical scenario, whereas I'll give another example. These examples are very important. Whenever you are having an interview with the manufacturing, you will face these questions in real time. Manufacturing terminology is somewhat different. Here you can see charge type. Charge type is WIP move, PO receipt, and manual. We have 4 options in the charge type list of values here. But each one is having importance. WIP move if it is not outside processing. PO move if it is outside processing. PO receipt, yes, it is also for outside processing. Manual, of course, whenever you want to charge some resource against a work order. What is work order? See, if you want to ship the item to the customer, you would require sales order. If you want to buy the item, you would require a purchase order. Similarly, if you want to manufacture something, you should have a work order. Keep in mind that work order is nothing but production order. We call it a discrete job. You should have a job. Through job, if there is no job, you are not going to manufacture any product. Hence, you are at resource. Resource is very important. You are giving the name, description, type of the resource, charge type, then is it outside processing? If it is outside processing, you have to enable this. When you enable this, there is an item. What is this item? Outside processing item. Okay? It cannot be. Once defined, of course, if you want to define new resource, then it will be allowed to assign because it's not outside processing resource. And it has been used. You cannot change in the middle of the transactions. And one more thing. Resource unit of measure is HR. What is HR? Hours. It is hours. Means for how many hours you have used acid bath machine. Per hour, there might be some rate. What is that rate? See, here the rates are available. $25 we have for 1 hour. So, how many hours you are keeping in that machine? If you use this acid bath for 2 hours, you have to pay $50. That's it. That is the meaning of rate. Here the rate is indicating $25 per 1 hour. That 1 hour is nothing but unit of measure. This resource unit of measure is always hours. Means how many hours he has worked. How many hours you have used that machine in the process of manufacturing. This is what it is indicated by. It looks very simple. How much time you are spending on the resource. To get a knowledge over the resource, how much time you are spending. Let us think. So it's not that much easy to define a resource. If you want to define a resource, many things to be considered. It's a kind of machine, and when it is going to be charged, then is it outside processing? If not, what is the rate? And what is the absorption account? Variance account? What is absorption account? Yes, in the process of manufacturing, I am using welder for 5 hours to get it completed. Why? Because if welder works for 5 hours, then only I will complete my work of total welding as a part of car manufacturing. 5 hours of welder. So if welder works for 1 hour, how much should I charge to a discrete job? Because If you start manufacturing a product, you are keep on consuming the raw materials like tires, chassis, iron frames, glasses, engine, clutch, brakes, steering, chairs, deck system, then painting, then we have test driving. For everything there is a charge. Means that charge is coming from where? Means if you are consuming 4 tires as a part of wheel alignment, we have chassis. Chassis means you should have channels, you should have eye sections to be welded in a particular shape as per the design, and that designed chassis to be mounted on the wheels. Means how many wheels you would require? Do you require 2 tires, 2 wheels, or 4 wheels, or 3 wheels? So definitely you would require minimum 4 wheels to manufacture a car. So what is the tire cost? Tata Motor is using tire, but is it using Tata tire? No, it is using MRF tire or Michelin or JK tires. We have different types of tires, but no company is manufacturing. No Tata company or Maruti or whatever it may be. Everything is, and every car company is using external item as a tire. Means they are going to buy the item, that is tire, and they are keeping in the store, and as and when required they are going to use that item as a part of manufacturing. In the process you are getting the finished product. If I use the tire, how much should I charge to the job? I am using 4 tires. Each tire is 5,000 or $500 or $1,000. If it is $1,000 each tire, then 4 tires, $4,000. Means after manufacturing, if I get a car, that car should have a cost of tires, engine, brakes, clutch, chassis, painting, everything. All together, car cost comes as, let us say, around $10,000 or $15,000. When you have $15,000, then you should add some profit. Means by the completion of job order, you are getting the cost of, you are accumulating all the costs of tires, engine, brakes, clutch, and everything. You are getting 15,000. On top of that, you are adding something that is 5,000 or 25,000 or 10,000. You are adding, and you are adding as a profit margin. Then you are selling with a price. That price is 25,000 or $35,000. Then you are shipping the item to the customer. So that the cost of the item is 10 or 15,000 and remaining is the margin, and selling price is different. Selling price is nothing but cost of the item plus profit. So if you are talking about item, then every item is having some cost. But if I use a welder, then how should I charge as a part of welder? Welder comes under resource. Welder meant for welder spends 2 hours. If he spends 1 hour, how much should I charge? $1,000. If he works for 2 hours, $2,000. That means the job should have not only material cost but also resource cost. Means any item you take, that is the combination of, if the item cost is 10 rupees or $10, it might be having material cost plus resource cost. What is material cost? Car, tires, chassis, steering, engine, everything is an item. What is the price of that? All together, which is coming material cost. But how many resources have worked in the process of manufacturing a car? Welder, fabricator, designer. They might have worked for hours. How many hours? If designer works for 2 hours, or 1 hour charge is $500. 2 hours he work, $1,000. So altogether resource cost. What is the resource cost? Resource cost plus material cost, altogether we are getting the finished good cost. So in the process, if you have a resource, so whenever in a resource worked for 1 hour and there is a rate, and that rate whatever it may be, how many hours you have used, those many hours into unit rate, all together, that is going to be absorption account. This is the resource account. And whereas variance account, what is the importance of variance? Any standard. So as per your design, as per your bills of material, how many resources you would require? You would require a resource as a welder for 2 hours. But I have consumed the same welder for 4 hours. Means what? You consume 2 hours more. Means standard is indicating 2 hours, whereas actual is indicating 4 hours. Means you have taken 2 hours extra. Anything deviating from the standard is called variance. So whenever you are utilizing your design, your BOM is suggesting to consume 2 hours, whereas you have consumed 4 hours, those extra 2 hours will be captured in variance. Extra 2 hours means 1 hour, what is the cost, what is the rate? Here it is there. So 2 hours extra, 2 into that unit rate, that much value will be going to variance. It is all for the as a part of control, as a part of control, accounting control, so that finance department will come to know why you have utilized these many hours of this particular resource, why you have wasted the time of this resource. It is burden for us. Why? You are supposed to conduct, you are supposed to manufacture this item by utilizing this resource for 2 hours only, but you have wasted 2 more hours of this particular resource because you have spent 4 hours, means you lost 2 hours time, and 1 hour it is costing $100 or $200, means 2 hours extra. 2 into 2 means 400 hours. You have $400. That is the worth of extra resource you have used. But you are supposed to use only one resource for 2 hours, but you have used the same resource for 4 hours, but you are producing the same item. It is burden for the company because you are not effectively utilizing the labor. So this is how it is indicating all these things. Okay, now every unit of measure, like resource, will be having a unit of measure. Keep in mind, what is the unit of measure for the resource? It is entry question. What is the unit of measure for resource? It is always hours. Keep in mind, it is always hours. If you want to define a resource, these are the things you have to consider at any point of time. Okay, if you want to see, let us say, I want to define a resource. Simply, you have to enter the resource name, description, type of resource, person, or this resource will be used and charged in a particular work order, in a particular discrete job, and that resource, if the rate of that resource per 1 hour, if this is $100, so when it has to be charged, WIP move means work in process move transaction, means you are moving from one operation to another operation in the process of conducting all the operations. If you complete all the operations, you will get a finished product. If you have certain operations to be conducted in the process of manufacturing in the process of getting the finished good, you have certain operations to be conducted in a sequence. And one by one, whenever you are completing those operations, finally you are getting the product. We are moving from one operation to another operation. The first operation is fabrication. That is indicated by 10. Sequence number 10. Next operation is 20. Next operation is 30. Next operation is 40. Like that we have 50, 60, 70, 80. Like that. We have different number of operations. Why am I indicating 10, 20, 30, 40, 50? Why can't be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? It cannot be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why? Because if I say 10, 20, there is a chance of putting new operations between 10 and 20. See, 10 is one operation, 20 is another operation. I can put another operation at 15, so that in order to conduct 20th operation, we can conduct first 15th operation, then you can move on to 20th operation. Means There is a flexibility of incorporating new operations between two operations if we have the sequence number like this 10, 20, 30 or 5, 10, 15. If you have 1, 2, 3, there is no number at all between 1 and 2. You can have fractions, but sequence number cannot be a fraction. It is always whole number. It should be between two numbers or three numbers, whatever it may be. But all those numbers are whole numbers. So this is what our unit of measure. Remaining fields are not mandatory. Keep in mind. So you have to define by giving a name, description, type, charge type, when it has to be charged. Why it is having PO move, PO receipt? I will tell you now. WIP move for actual manufacturing. If there is no outside processing. When outside processing, then we have PO move and PO receipt. Why? PO move means outside processing. You have to get the service from outside party. Whenever you are getting something from outside party, then you have to buy something. So to buy something, you should have purchase order. If you are having purchase order, then there is a supplier. So you are reaching to the supplier with a purchase order. When there is a purchase order should be received first. If you are not receiving the purchasing, then how can I complete my discrete job? So that is the reason until and unless PO has been moved, the WIP move transactions cannot be completed. Okay, so PO, whatever the PO you raise in the process of manufacturing, that should be received first to complete the next operations. For that reason, PO move will be used. PO receipt, until and unless sometimes you would require receipt, sometimes you do not require. That's what we call it as two-way, three-way, four-way. If it is two-way, you do not require receipt. If it is three-way, you would require receipt. If you are having four-way, along with the receipt, there should be an inspection and one should accept that service or an item to get it inventorized or get it charged. In the process of manufacturing, you are buying something from the outside party, then that service to be charged with a rate. What is that rate? With what price you purchased from the external party. Let us say Teflon coating. Teflon coating, a supplier charged $1,000 to the company car manufacturer. So the 1,000 should be charged to the customer. So means that 1,000 to be charged from the customer means first of all you have to pay to the supplier. Means how much you are going to pay to the supplier? What is the price of the item? What is the price of the item? What is the item? Teflon coating. What is the price? For one car, it is 1,000. So pay to supplier for 1,000. Charge to customer with 2,000. So that you will have a margin. So this is how resource should be defined. Then, so every resource should be coming from departments. Now resources then, okay, then we have departments. If you open the departments, every department, see only one field is mandatory. You have to give the department name, that's it, over. The moment you give the department number and save it, then it will ask you, see, it is assembly department, chemistry, content, depot, external department, circuit. So like that we have different departments. Packing, testing department, molding department, offset department, outside department, packing department, software department, like this we have. But at this particular department, how many resources are working? That you have to click on this button and assign. Means whatever the resource you defined earlier in the resource form, every resource you can call and you can assign to this particular department. Whatever the resource you select here and you select available for 20 hours, 4 hours means you have 3 shifts, A shift, B shift, C shift. And unit of measures, hour always 1 unit. Okay, so So these are the resources, means every department to be defined, and what are the resources coming under that particular department you have to link here. Keep in mind. Then department is done, resources already done. Then we are coming to operations. If you take certain operations, these operations are 10, 20, 30 like that you are giving. What is 10? The first operation. 20, second operation. It can be a first operation. It can be a third operation. Can be a 30th operation. Can be 10th operation. Can be 20th operation. Means there is an operation code. For welding, I can give a code WLD. Whereas description, welding. Whereas department, welder comes from welding department. I define a department, so I will assign a standard operation like welding WLD, and they give the description, and this operation will be conducted from the department, and in this department who is the resource responsible for welding, that you have to click here and assign the resource here. See, for conducting a welding operation we have to define welding code. Welding WLD is a code, and the process name description. To conduct that welding, you would require a resource welder. That welder you have to call here. That's it. And one more thing. Here the important thing is unit of measure is hour. This resource you spend for 1 hour to get one particular item. You use 1 hour resource for one. You are using 1 hour resource to get one item. Sometimes what happens, you use one resource for 1 hour to get number of items. It's item basis, it's lot basis. Keep in mind, when it is lot basis, you cannot say how much time you have taken to produce one item. Tell me, in case you have welding electrodes, welding rods are there, no? Yeah, the machine is manufacturing welding rods. Within 1 hour, some thousands of rods are manufactured. Now tell me, to manufacture one rod, how much time do you require? You're right, it's not item based, it is lot based. When it is lot based, you can tell only inverse. What is inverse? I will spend 1 hour of this resource to get 1000 electrodes. Means 1 by 1000 is for one electrode. That's what. Means you know only inverse sometimes. If you enter inverse, it will calculate usage for how many hours you are using. So like that. Inverse is nothing but 1 by usage. If you enter inverse, usage will be calculated. If you enter usage, inverse will be calculated. Keep in mind, it's very important, it's very confusing also. Once again I am repeating. A resource will be used for 1 hour. Will be used for 1 hour to get one car. A resource will be used for 1 hour to get 1000 electrodes. To get one electrode, 1 by 1000. Simple. That 1 by 1000 is called inverse. When it is lot based, you can always tell about inverse, but not usage. When it is item based, then only you can tell the usage. If it is 1, always inverse of 1 is 1 only. That is the reason it is showing 1. But sometimes you can tell the inverse only. So that is the reason it is usage and inverse will be indicated for the resource. Keep in mind. Then, so is the first operation. It's a kind of welding, it's a kind of assembly, it's kind of 3D burning. To manufacture a desktop, okay, I would require assemble printer, assemble complete, 3D burning, 3D packing, connect printer, 3D testing, document, inspect. You have different, I can say, operations. In the process of desktop manufacturing, I would require assembling of all the raw materials, components, subassemblies, and packing, then deliver. So we have, see, there is a code for operation, and what is the description, and it is conducted in assembly department. In this department, over all the resources responsible, you have to click here. And for this operation, to conduct this operation, who are all the resources you would require, you have to enter one by one. In case you want multiple employees, multiple resources, you have to enter one by one. That's it. Similarly, for conducting second operation, so what is the name of that operation and which department is going to conduct? In this department, who are the resources responsible for this activity? You have to click one by one, you have to add all the resources. See here, you will use the resource to produce two items. Okay, the inverse has been entered so that for one item 0.5 hours is required. This is what the definition of usage and inverse. Keep in mind. It's somewhat confusing, but you have to get the point. Similarly, for CD burning. For CD burning, who's the resource required? It's from content department, whereas the resources will be writer. Okay. So this is what it writes 50 for 1 hour, and 1 by 50 is nothing but 0.02. Keep in mind. Similarly, CD packing, operation resource, like this. So this is the operation. This is connecting printer. Who will be doing? This is the resource. Laboratory assistants or whatever it may be. So like that, you will have the operation code, and this operation can be conducted from this department, whereas within this department there are many resources. Which resource is responsible for conducting this operation is indicated in the resource. Means what? There should be a resource first. All the resources should be coming from certain departments. We have certain operations. One by one we have to. At each operation you would require certain departments, and from the certain departments you would require certain resources. What are those certain resources we are going to link here? That's it. Then you are coming to routing. When you are coming to routing, it is asking for item. Means what? To manufacture a car, what are the things you would require? Means that car is the feature good item. That item is nothing but here. You are going to enter. Then for this item, here it is indicating operation. What is the first operation? 10. What is the second operation? 20, 30, 40, 50. 10 will be conducted from which department? If it is department, what are the resources? You have to link here. Means to manufacture this item, I would require certain sequence of operations 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Then this 10 is conducted by which department? You have to link. This department, which resource is responsible? You have to click here and assign the resource here. So like this we have to do that. Let us see for certain item what is the oh my god. Okay. Okay. What happened to this? Control Alt Enter. Okay. Okay, something stuck. It has been Control Alt. It has been stuck. Just a minute. Now, in continuation, we have, let me show you once again, full screen. Okay, you excuse mode. Now, let me open this. We are discussing routing. In the routing, we have item plus F11. My item is, I don't know the item. Okay, let me search. I want to see the routings for a desktop item. Go to view, find. Item is a desktop item. I am searching the item. Percentage. Click OK. I'll get all the items in which my item is desktop item. Sentinel standard desktop is the item. ES54888. Fine. Here we have, see, to manufacture this desktop, Sentinel standard desktop, we have first operation as assembly. See, SDAS is the code for this operation. If you go to description, see, first one is standard drive mount assembly, second one is standard base assembly, third one standard final assembly, 40th standard product testing, 50th documentation standard assembly, 60th standard final packing. If you conduct all these operations, then only you will get the desktop item. So that's what indicated by 10th, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So there are operation codes. There is a department. From this department, who is the resource is responsible for this? It is the resource. See? Similarly, for this operation resource, this is the resource you would require. For this operation, what is the resource required? We have like this 40, 50, 50th at operation. I would require 2 laborers, 2 resources. Okay, I would require. So finally, you are getting what is the operation. To conduct this operation, we want department help. Which department? In this department, which resource? All the resource or certain resource? Then you have to click on this resource and you have to link for this operation from this department. This resource is required. This is what you are linking. And after that, for this item, after conducting all these operations, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, finally you get a finished product that is called desktop item. This is desktop. This desktop should be routing details. Here FGI. What is FGI? Should be inventorized in finished goods sub-inventory. That is what FGI. What is FGI? Finished good inventory. Means this sub-inventory is going to have whenever you are manufacturing this item by conducting all the operations one by one operations, and you are conducting all the operations and finally you are completing those operations and you are getting this item inventorized in which sub-inventory? Finished goods sub-inventory. This is what you are indicating in the routing. Let us take the same item now. Let us see what is the BOM for this. After defining all this routing, then we have to go for BOM. What is BOM? Let us see intended BOM. It is already defined. So what is the item code I have taken? So find. See, to manufacture this item, I would require the first level, first this item. Wherever the plus icon is there, this is subassembly. Manual set is a subassembly. If you click on, double click, then it will expand. Means this item, you will get it by consuming this item and this item, this item. Means this is a subassembly and which is having further raw materials like to manufacture this item. See, level 1. Level 2 means what? Level 1 indicates the upmost item. To manufacture this item again, I would require this item and this item and this item. 3 items. And this subassembly I would require to manufacture this particular item, parent item. And in which this is the parent item, this is finished good item, this is subassembly, and this subassembly is manufactured by consuming this raw material. This one, this one, this one. Similarly here. If you expand this, see, to manufacture this item I would require this item, but consume this item and get this item manufactured, and this manufactured item consume it to manufacture this item at these levels. At first level I would require this subassembly, this subassembly. Similarly, if you scroll down, what are the items you would require? I would require, see, it's simple. If you click plus icon, all the plus icons will be expanded. Minus mention, it will collapse. So I will expand all. Let us see. I have expanded. See, I would require all these items. Okay, subassembly, all these items. Monitor I would require. Monitor warranty I would require. Keyboard I require. OptiBall wireless mouse is required. Power cord is required. Packing material required. So all of you are aware of desktop. What is desktop? To manufacture desktop, what are the items required? That's what it is indicating. It is indicated in the Indian bombs. And if you take mouse, there is a subassembly. If it is monitor, there is also sub-inventory. To manufacture monitor, I would require monitor warranty, keyboard, OptiBall wireless, mouse and power cord and packing material. Then we have standard set. In the standard set, again, to get the standard set, I want, these are the items, software word products or software web browse or software spreadsheet. All these together, which is forming this item, I would require this item in the process of manufacturing this item. So like this. See, there is chassis Sentinel standard desktop. Whereas to manufacture this item, I would require drive mount assembly and I would require drive mount top assembly, then plastic stock. All these items to be consumed in the process of manufacturing this item. Further, this item is required and in the process of manufacturing this item. This is what it is, the sequence of different items. All to some items together forms one particular item. All those items together forms another item. Finally, we are getting the finished product. This is what the drill down activity should be mentioned in the bills of material. Means this is the structure of this parent item will be drilled down to the lowest level. Means what are the raw materials, what are the components, what are the sub-assemblies, what are the sub-assemblies together forms the finished product. That's what is indicated by the Indian bills of material. Okay, now if you go to each tab, bill details, at item sequence 10 means first, operation sequence 10. See that I told you, resource, department, all the resources to be assigned to departments. Operations, 10th operation, 20th operation, 40th operation, 50th operation, To conduct that operation, I would require certain resource coming from certain department. What are the sequence of operations to be conducted that is there in the routing? What is the sequence of items to be supplied to manufacture a finished product? That is what BOM. This is what the sequence of items and to be supplied at each operation. At what are the operations to be conducted? You can scroll down. You can see what are the operations you would require and what is the item sequence. If you conduct all these operations in this sequence, I will get this finished good item. And what is the quantity I would require? This item, I want one quantity I would require. So this is what engineering change order. Engineering change order means instead of this item, you want to replace this item with a new item, because if your item is a bike or a desktop item, if it is i7, if it is i5, if it is i3, i2, or it's a dual core or core to geo, we have different types of. So that means if it is dual core to be replaced with core to geo, then you have to put end date, engineering change order. We are going to implement this effectivity from which date to which date. From date is there. I want this item to be replaced with core to geo. Then put end date. To date, you have to put end date. Add one more line. Bring core to geo item here. Start date. From which date you are going to start. End date, it should be blank for the new item. Means whenever there is a technology change for this desktop and we have to put end date for the old item, put another item, add another item and keep effective date but without to date. If you put to date, till that time it will be used, and from there you want to use, if you want to use new item, new technology, you have to add one more line. That is what we call it as engineering change order, to be implemented whenever there is an indication of checkbox. Implemented means it is effective, means it has been started using. In case effectivity date in future, let us say this date is next month onwards, then this engineering change order will be disabled. But the moment the date is effective, tomorrow this date is going to be achieved, then from that date implementation will be checked. Means the product will be manufactured by using that certain item which is not having this end date. In case it is having end date, that item will be disabled. For example, your scooter, earlier it was two-stroke engine, now it is four-stroke engine. Two-stroke engine, if it is two-stroke engine, to be replaced from where? From January 31st onwards. You will put 31st here, January 31st. Till that January 31st, whatever this item is manufactured, bike is manufactured, you will be using two-stroke engine. Whereas you will be starting from February 1st onwards, you will be entering February 1st here. It will be blank. Means February 1st onwards, you will be having four-stroke engine here. That is the purpose of, this is what engineering. It is what BOM. This is the finished good item, and you will have sequence of different items and what are the items to be used, and any item has to be replaced, put the end date, change in the engineering change order will be effective from that particular effective date. So this is what we call it as BOM definition of certain finished good item. I hope you understood. Then this is what BOM. When you define for any manufacturing item, if you define this resource, then departments, and indicate in this department what are the resources working and what are the operations you would require in the process of manufacturing, define individually, and what are the sequence of operations, sequence of resources you would require, then bills of material, and you are manufacturing a finished product. To manufacture that finished product, what are the different items you would require, what is the sequence of items, and those items to be assembled by which department, which resource, everything is indicated in the BOM from the routings. Then now you are all set to go ahead with work in process. It is manufacturing process. That's what we are going to discuss from tomorrow. So we start with the discrete job. A discrete job is nothing but a work order, and of course we are working in M1. So I am going for new job and in new job number, and what is the assembly you are going to manufacture, Sentinel standard desktop. It is a discrete class, means what is the importance of class we are going to discuss tomorrow. What are the different status of the discrete jobs? It is run, release, all hold, all these things are there. And after that, when how much quantity you are going to start, are you going to manufacture 100 quantity, 1 quantity or 10 quantity, you are going to enter. MRP net, material requirement planning, whatever the quantity you are manufacturing should I consider for MRP net, start date, from when you are going to start, when it has been completed, and routing details. What for this finished good item, whatever you enter here, that for that item already routing might be there. That routing by default it comes with the sub inventory of GI. Then for this item, what is the BOM? That BOM is nothing but component. You can see components here. Okay, so like that, tomorrow we are going to discuss work in process. For today, I think it is enough. It is more than enough. Okay, but you have to go through the documentation. You have to take care of standard documentation. What is BOM? You have to read it. Otherwise, it's very difficult to understand BOM. Why? Because manufacturing is not like other modules. Sales, it's somewhat easy, whereas coming to manufacturing, terminology is somewhat different and it's very difficult to understand. Keep in mind. Okay. You have any questions?